Greetings and welcome to another broadcast. We are talking today about the Texas border and giving an update of real time current events of where we are now in reaction to the governor, Greg Abbott, and Joe Biden with the President Joe Biden with the administration and the temperature of um, there being at odds of the level of protection of the Texas border. Greg Abbott has been extremely aggressive and defined in how he is dealing with the immigration, the illegal immigration, and migrants coming over the border in Texas within his jurisdiction. And Joe Biden is, making threats and obviously objecting to, the level of restraint that Greg Abbott is using to keep everything at a minimum. There is cause for major concern, which is rightful, in my opinion, with undocumented, unregulated, and unknown people coming over the border. You don't know if these people are coming because they've been exiled from their country, if they've been released from institutions, whether it's prison, jail, mental facilities, which is not uncommon because the other countries don't want to absorb and have to pay for those services for people to be housed in their country. So it's easier to just kind of send them across the way in order to become somebody else's problem, right? So there is a huge problem of fentanyl along with other drugs and coming into this country, being brought into this country. And now that adds a whole nother spectrum to the problem when you don't know what these people are bringing over here, where they're coming from, and et cetera, et cetera. So that poses a huge problem. And in addition to that, we also have to consider, which I think is like at the top of the list, when it comes down to the resources. When you are supplementing all of these federal programs with housing, with SNAP, food stamps, medical subsidies, this is coming from taxpayers' money. And in a better world, the taxpayer should have a say as to what their money goes to. And in this situation, it is not being considered. We're not being considered as taxpayers. And you've got the administration and the federal government making these calls, and people that have not been invested into this country, that haven't put or pulled any labor or had any sweat to the brow in order to, or paid any taxes, now are absorbing resources that were meant for the citizens that occupy this country, not because you just walk or swim over the border and step foot on this land and now you're procreating, which now your children become automatic citizens. I just don't understand the end game and how it's supposed to benefit us. And so Greg Abbott has taken a stand, and he's made a declaration, and he is staying steadfast when it comes to that decision. And so we're going to watch a video, a news clip, where he is actually giving his side of where they are currently and what he is doing to be proactive to keep the illegal immigrants from crossing the border in the state of Texas, which he is the governor over.
Here with more, Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Governor, first, I applaud your efforts. You've been on the show many times. You've tried convoys. You have done everything humanly possible. So your state, with its constitutional right, has put up the razor wire. They take you to court on that. And now they set up a confrontation between your National Guard and federal border troops. Now, I don't think either side of that equation wants to be enemies. They're all on the same side, aren't they?
They are, and as you pointed out, and as Border Patrol Council and Border Patrol members have made clear to Texas and to myself, they want to have nothing to do with regard to tearing down that razor wire or tearing down the barriers that Texas has erected for one simple reason, and that's because they are working. Border Patrol says that what Texas has done to secure the border actually makes their job even easier. The only resistance we're facing is coming from Joe Biden. Know this, Sean, and that is Joe Biden is in violation of federal law that already exists. For one, he is not living up to his duty to deny illegal entry across the border. Instead, he's aiding that illegal entry. The second thing is he's not, once people do cross the border, he is not detaining them as he's required by law. Instead, he's giving mass parole across the country. Because Joe Biden is not enforcing the federal immigration laws, that gives Texas the right, under that Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution, to defend ourselves from imminent harm or from an invasion. So Texas has every constitutional right in this case, and I believe when the sun sets on this, Texas will be vindicated and the Constitution will be strengthened.
So not only, according to Governor Greg Abbott, is Joe Biden not enforcing supporting his strengthening the restrictions of coming across the border, but he is giving mass parole. So now you're giving grace to people that have come over here that are undocumented. They have not come through the assigned ports of entry. And you're giving, as the president and the administration, pushback because Greg Abbott is enforcing the law of the Constitution. So this is in writing, and this is why Greg Abbott is saying that he feels Texas will be vindicated when it's all said and done, because as we know, Joe Biden has taken Greg Abbott and the state of Texas to court, and in order to cut through the barbed wire. And to my understanding, they have actually, he won that. But Greg Abbott is standing his ground and on business by saying, I understand that and I respect that, but since we didn't get the assistance or the help from the federal government, then we're going to exercise our rights based off of the Constitution to protect the borders of this state collectively.
Yeah, we have relevant U.S. laws. Joe Biden has been aiding and abetting in the law breaking. Joe Biden not even go further. He is violating the laws of this country. He is violating his oath to uphold our Constitution. I can put up on the screen, Title 8 USC 1324. It prohibits alien smuggling, domestic transportation. It goes into, every harboring illegal immigrants, encouraging or inducing, conspiracy, aiding and abetting. If I did any one of the things that Joe Biden has now institutionalized, I would be in jail. And I doubt that the best lawyers in America could get me off the hook.
Well, fair point, but also you're making another profound point. You listed all those different ways that the Biden administration has these duties and responsibilities. Because they're not just doing that job poorly, but because they have totally abandoned doing that job whatsoever. That is exactly what gives Texas our constitutional right for Texas to be able to act. So by Texas building the barriers that we have, by us taking the action to repel illegal immigration, we're fully authorized because the federal government has ceded or conceded the field of immigration enforcement, and Texas has picked up that duty, and we're the ones in self-enforcement. Let me tell you this amazing number, Sean. If you know where that park is, where Texas now has taken over and we blockaded that park, that is an area where sometimes over the past year, there would be as many as 2 or 3 or more than that 1,000 people coming across the border a day. Yesterday, there were just 6 people crossing the border.
So it went from 2,000 to 3,000 a day crossing the border, undocumented, to 6. And he states all 6 were arrested. So why would not that be supported by the administration, providing that it is a law and that it is embedded into the Constitution? So it ponders the question, of course, right? Another thing that he's going to emphasize and well, this may be in another video, but one of the reasons that sparked the actual action of him enforcing and closing down the border for illegal transfers outside of the port of authorities is because people were dying on his watch and on Texas ground, swimming across. As you can see in the video, people are having to swim across in order to get on the American soil, and people are drowning. Not to mention that there has been reports of a lot of SA incidents with females, with young children. And this just is unacceptable, in my opinion. And I don't know how this is being tolerated by what's supposed to be the superpower and the most powerful country in the world.
All 6 of those people were arrested by Texas law enforcement officers. We have now cracked down and been able to staunch the flow of illegal immigration. Biden should want this replicated across the entire border. That's what Texas is trying to do as we speak.
I got to.
Absolutely. What I just said is, why isn't this being supported? Why is not this being duplicated across the country, particularly the sanctuary cities and states where there is such a mass influx of people coming into those areas and not having any, they're being displaced. There are a lot of them, and not just being displaced, but when they're sleeping out on the streets, they're having theft rings, they're having to steal in order to survive, or to to get the things that they need. You've got children, and especially particularly in New York, they're closing down public schools and sending the children home to be homeschooled or learn remotely, while the immigrants, the illegal immigrants, occupy the schools. Where do they do that at? This is like insane to me and incomprehensible as to how this is being tolerated. But nevertheless, this is the world we living in.
I'll say one good thing. Your fellow Republican governors have been pretty amazing. They've all come to your defense, every one of them. And they're offering guard troops. They are offering razor wire. They're offering all the help. They understand that you're bearing the brunt of this, but they also understand that their states are also impacted by Joe Biden's open borders. And these people are unvetted, as I keep pointing out. And now Joe Biden's being encouraged to federalize your National Guard, your state guard. What happens if he tries that? Because he did have a deadline of Friday. He hasn't done anything, as usual, but what if that happens?
If he tries to do that, well, first of all, as you know, this is the #1 issue in America. Americans want a secure border. If Joe Biden federalizes our National Guard, that would be the biggest political blunder that he could make. And that's why I think he will not do it. That said, of course, I am prepared in the event that they do make such a blunder to make sure that Texas will be able to continue to secure our border.
And to add to that, we're going to watch another short news clip video as to the support that Greg Abbott and the state of Texas is receiving from other states, and other Republican governors are joining forces and into reinforcing the security of the borders in Texas and other states where the support is coming from, and they're banding together, which is definitely needed at this point if you're going to go up against the federal government. So in this part of the news clip, there has been talk about what Joe Biden and the administration can do in order to enforce that the barbed wire get cut, and that the flow of the immigrants resumes to the point where it was preceding all of these, protections being put in place to prevent people from coming over illegally. And so one of the things that Joe Biden can do is federalize the National Guard, which is currently run under Texas jurisdiction, take over that National Guard and activate them to do what he wants them to do, which right now is to open those borders back up, to cut the barbed wire, and to resume the free flow of the illegal immigrants coming across the border. And Greg Abbott is saying, because this is a number one issue in this country at this time, if he does that, he's basically committing political suicide.
I'm not even going to ask you what your plan is because I don't want you to telegraph it to them. But the fact that you have a president that has been aiding and abetting we're now getting close to 10 million Joe Biden unvetted illegal immigrants in this country. I can't think of a bigger danger. You've
close to 10. This man has been in office for 3 years, and we've got another 10 million people, most of them undocumented, none of them citizens, unless they've had children. Once they hit soil, then those children have become citizens, and then the parents gain the legal right to stay in this country based off of that alone. That's insane. 10 million people. Oh my gosh.
Heard from these former retired FBI, people in the upper echelon of the FBI warning that this is an invasion, warning that a lot of these people are, men that are of age that they can wage war on the country. What are the odds that from these countries that they're coming from, that they have radical associations and are setting up, sleeper cells here in America? I would say the odds are 100% myself. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, so Sean, what you just said taps into the verb, the words in Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, where it talks about imminent danger. We are in imminent danger because, as you rightfully point out, these are facts. And that is, there are people who are known terrorists who are coming across the border that pose an imminent danger, whether it be in Texas or some other state. Because Biden is not doing his job, that fully authorizes the state of Texas to protect our state.
I want to take note. Look at all of these men that are young to middle age. I don't see women. I don't see children in this clip. What is going on? And you're talking about sleeper cells. You're talking about potential danger, them organizing. Oh my gosh, this is alarming, you guys. This is alarming because now you're looking at this visual and these are mostly men. I see women sprinkled here and there, but I don't see any children. And I see a specific demographic of men that is in this this entourage coming across. Look at all of these people mobilized from other countries. And with America being in the position that it's in, we're not liked a lot at all across this world. So now you've opened the borders to the enemy? Oh my goodness.
Our country from that imminent danger.
Yeah. Governor, I applaud what you're doing. It's unfair that Texas has to go through this. I am glad that your fellow Republican governors have all stepped up and they're offering you assistance in any way they can. That speaks volumes about them. I hope the United States
Sean,
Senate Republicans.
Let me say thank you to my fellow governors. Half of America now is standing against the Biden administration. Also, more than a majority of all the attorneys general across the country. Biden is not taking on Texas. Biden is taking on the United States of America.
Boom. So this is going to get really interesting, everybody. When you have the governors in half of the states mobilizing, organizing, banding together, coming up with a plan, sending reinforcements. This video that we're going to watch is going to demonstrate Florida. So the governor of Florida, DeSantis, is offering some of his troops and sending them to support and to offer reinforcement to Texas. So we're going to watch this. This is a short video explaining a little more in detail.
First of 5, the situation at the southern border is showing no signs of easing up. Now the state of Florida is...
Again, This is a different, I don't know if this is the same convoy or if this is at a different one, but look at the vantage point. Look at the age of these people, of these men, of these males. Man.
Stepping up to help stem the flow of migrants into the United States. And that involves sending hundreds of Florida troops to Texas. Our Mark Wilson is here now to.
I want to go back just a little bit, and these people are, look at the determination, look at the risk, look at the travels. I just wanted to stop and have us visualize the lengths that these people are going to come across this country, because they're being encouraged to. They are being allowed with immunity and impunity, right? For the most part. Now we have Texas stepping up. So I'm just hoping personally that other states follow suit. And there comes a point where this stops, because this is crazy.
Mark Wilson is here now to explain. So Mark, bring us up to speed.
Well, it's not the first time he sent folks to Texas. Keep that in mind. Governor DeSantis said today that he's deploying members of the Florida State Guard and the Florida National Guard, both to Texas. And the plan now is to help them assist Texas officials to try to get a better handle on the spike in undocumented immigrants right now that are crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. And this, of course, comes as the state of Texas continues to butt heads with the federal government. A dispute that stems from the Supreme Court's recent decision here to allow federal agents to remove razor wire that Texas recently installed along the border. Governor DeSantis argues that the states have the right to defend their borders, regardless of what the federal government does, which is why he is sending Florida troops to Texas. And he says specifically sending the State Guard along with the National Guard because he said that's necessary for sovereignty.
Wow. That's a lot of people. I know I keep stopping the video, but this is crazy.
He says today that the federal government would have no control over our State Guard troops, unlike National Guard troops. Still, one state lawmaker slams the move, calling it a stunt, questioning the governor's focus following his run for president.
If Texas is helping to erect barriers, putting up razor wire, doing other things to keep illegal aliens out, I want to be helpful with them doing that. I don't want to be part of the federal government trying to tear down these barriers and let more people in illegally.
We should not be sending them to the border because this is not their job. This is not for Florida to get involved in, and we certainly have plenty of crises to deal with here at home.
So many didn't even really know about the State Guard, of course. That State Guard that Florida has, that Governor DeSantis is referring to, was actually formed as a reaction to COVID vaccine mandates just a few years ago. And we also note this, Florida's been sending members of the National Guard along with state law enforcement officers to Texas for several months now, in fact, since last May. So this development and deployment essentially doubles down on those efforts. And we'll see. I'm sure he'll be criticized more for it, but he's getting a lot of support as well.
All right. Thanks so much, Mark. Sure. Meanwhile, the border security bill negotiated by the Senate has been declared absolutely dead by Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. The White House and a bipartisan group of senators have been working on the legislation for weeks and hope to officially unveil something as early as this week. But any deal appears to face an uphill battle in the House, where Republicans have been urged by former President Trump to scuttle the deal. First at 5, the situation at the southern border is showing no signs of easing up.
Wow. So, yeah, you know, some things can be expounded on, other things really don't need an additional explanation, other than Ron DeSantis has been obviously, according to this news source, he's been actually sending reinforcement to Texas since last May. So you're looking at 10 million people that are here, that most of them are unaccounted for. So I will keep everybody posted. And as I get the news, I will share it, as I feel like this is a super important topic that we need to really stay informed currently on and stay abreast. So with that being said, peace and blessings to everybody. And please like the video, share the video with at least 2 people that you know that may or may not be aware of our current situation, because this does affect everybody. And turn on all of your notifications on, because I will be uploading and going live with information soon. And with that being said, peace and blessings, and have a wonderful